Welcome back. For today's Business Matters, we're joined with Don Ma. Thanks for joining us, Don. What's new in the business world?
Yeah, so let me start off with an update on the greenback here. So the US dollar stayed near a 4-month peak against other major currencies today. US dollar index rose for the first time since July 3rd. Bitcoin continued its record-breaking rise as investors continue to pile into trades seen as benefiting from the incoming Trump administration. The euro stayed near a 7-month low, and the yuan, the Chinese yuan that is, hovered close to a 3-month low. Both Europe and China are seen as possible targets for Trump's tariffs. Meanwhile, hurricane preps and an acquisition helped boost Home Depot's third quarter. The home improvement retailer reported a rise in quarterly sales year over year. As a result, Home Depot also raised its full-year outlook. The company said it saw sales growth related to Hurricanes Helene and Milton. People bought generators, plywood, and repair-related building materials. An extended summer season also had short-term benefits, with people buying outdoor products like grills and paint as well. Home Depot also got a lift from its acquisition of SRS Distribution, which sells professional landscaping, roofing, and pool supplies. Now, the European Union telling Apple today to stop geo-blocking, that is, restricting content based on a user's location. This applies to services like the App Store, Apple Arcade, Apple Music, iTunes Store, books, and podcasts. The European Commission said it found several potentially banned geo-blocking practices on some Apple media services. It warned that national regulators could take action if Apple failed to address its concerns. The EU said Apple had 1 month to suggest how it would fix the geo-blocking it had identified. Lunchables off the menu. In a statement, Kraft Heinz announced that its packaged lunch brand is being pulled from a federal program that offers low-income students free and reduced-price meals. The company was targeting the $25 billion education market, but said that demand fell short of expectations. Kraft Heinz has been trying to revive its well-known brands, including Lunchables, Jell-O, and Crystal Light, but sales volumes have dipped after multiple price hikes. In fact, Lunchables dragged on Kraft Heinz overall sales at the end of the last quarter. Sales directly to shoppers were down 15%. Chipotle Mexican Grill is being sued by shareholders for concealing how many of its restaurants were skimping on portions, forcing the chain to spend more on ingredients and hurting its stock price. And TD Sean Marshall takes a look at what's going on.
A lawsuit seeks to recover damages for Chipotle investors. Shareholders said Chipotle failed to disclose growing unhappiness among customers over inconsistent portion sizes for its burritos and rice bowls. Rosen Law Firm, a global investor rights law firm, filed the class action lawsuit in Santa Ana, California federal court. They said the truth came out as customers voiced dismay on TikTok and other social media. In order to address the issue and retain customer loyalty, Chipotle would have to ensure more generous portion sizes, which would increase cost of sales. That would mean the defendants' statements about its business operations and prospects were materially false and misleading. When the true details entered the market, the lawsuit claims that investors suffered damages. The decline on October 30th wiped out about $6.5 billion of market value. Chipotle did not immediately respond to requests for comment. The lawsuit was filed on Monday, a few hours after the Newport Beach, California-based company removed the interim tag from CEO Scott Boatwright's job title. Sean Marshall, NTD News.
Now, every year, the government spends about $600 billion and about a quarter of that money is reserved for small businesses. The Office of Government Contracting and Business Development says those contracts go to diverse industries. Last year, the government awarded contracts for marketing, construction, medical support, janitorial services, and more. An associate administrator with the office recommends all small businesses register on sam.gov. That's the government system for award management. There, they can apply for a federal work contract exclusively set aside for small businesses. About 1 in 4 employed veterans go on to work for federal, state, or local governments, but millions of others forge a different path. These small business owners are called veterpreneurs, and taking post-military paths can lead in unexpected directions. That's where National Veterans Small Business Week comes into play. Take a look.
I'm Pat Montgomery, former member of 1st Ranger Battalion and owner and founder of Casey Cattle Company.
A world away from the battlefield, Patrick Montgomery found his next mission in a Missouri cattle field.
I am a huge believer that entrepreneurship is a great fit for the veteran community.
He launched a specialty beef company, but after a rave review from Food and Wine magazine, the company went from 20 orders a week to 12,000 in 24 hours.
You need funding to go make that growth happen.
Montgomery turned to the Small Business Administration's program for veterans to help build up his company.
That's where we come in. We help with the mentoring, we help with the training, and we stay with them.
The Federal Office of Advocacy's most recent numbers from the U.S. Census show more than 1.6 million veteran-owned businesses in the country, with nearly $1 trillion in annual sales, employing about 3.25 million people.
The American economy is driven by small businesses. So the more veterans and military spouses we can get into entrepreneurship, starting their business, is a big win for our economy.
30% of veteran-owned businesses employ fewer than 20 people. Casey Cattle Company has 12. Its website says, quote, the military taught them values they deliver to your plate. Patrick Montgomery says if he can do it, any veteran can.
Conquering the world, but there's something out there post-military service that can provide that same fulfillment and the same brotherhood and camaraderie that you miss. Happy Veterans Day, y'all.
And it's time to deck the halls again, but the ghost of Christmas past is still sticking around. Past debt, that is. A NerdWallet survey says that about 28% of credit card users are still paying off last year's holiday purchases. This is actually an improvement, though. At this time last year, that number was at 31%. Another credit industry report found that growth in credit card balances has slowed. At the end of the third quarter, credit card balances were about 7% higher than the year before. That's about half the jump from 2022 to 2023. And Visa is partnering with fintech company Affirm to launch a card in the U.S. that lets shoppers make both debit transactions and buy now, pay later purchases. Customers are placing a higher priority on convenience and flexible payment options as e-commerce grows. Visa is also launching the feature in the United Arab Emirates. The company said they plan to expand into Europe in the coming months as well. And the highest court in the land will not be calming a clash over New York rent laws. The U.S. Supreme Court has declined to hear a bid by landlord groups to challenge rent stabilization laws in New York City. Lower courts found that the city's price and eviction controls do not violate the so-called takings clause of the Fifth Amendment. That bars the government from taking property without compensating owners. In the 1960s, the city enacted a law to cap rent increases and curb evictions to address a shortage of affordable housing. Proponents say the housing measures protect communities and prevent homelessness. The law was amended in 2019 to expand tenant protections. That drew legal challenges from landlords and trade associations seeking higher investment returns and more control over their property. Even New York real estate dynasties are selling their properties, breaking the family rule of never selling, also highlighting the severity of the downturn in the office market. Here's the story.
Real estate families that built New York City: the Rudins, the Kaufmans, the Gurels, the Dursts, the Trumps. Many have followed one core rule: never sell. But amid the severe office market downturn, some are.
When it came time for a lot of landlords to renegotiate their leases, right, that's 3, 4, 5 years after they had signed those original leases. And so even though no one was in the building, hey, the show must go on and the lease is still in place. Now we're starting to see some of that change.
Robert Helms is the host of the Real Estate Guys radio show. He says people are rethinking their approach to business and office and what it all means. In an average week, only half of New York office workers are actually going to their offices, according to Castle Systems, causing the real estate families to sell their properties for far less than usual. William Rudin, co-executive chairman of the Rudin family firm, has parted ways with 80 Pine Street in Manhattan. The Kaufman family sold a downtown office tower this year and are selling one in Midtown. These real estate dynasties have held onto their properties through wars and financial crises, but the work-from-home trend has proven too much.
The market will contract, and there won't be as much new office product coming online. And when it does, it's going to take into account things like virtual meeting space.
Robert Helms thinks there'll be a resurgence in the office market, but it will become smarter. He sees developers coming up with creative new projects, waiting for the right time to pull the trigger.
A new report suggests that sick patients are being pushed out of Medicare Advantage and into traditional government-run Medicare. A Wall Street Journal analysis says that as recipients got sicker and older, assessing covered services became more difficult. As a result, the journal found that patients in the final years of their lives left Medicare Advantage for traditional Medicare at twice the rate of other enrollees from 2016 to 2022. The analysis found Medicare Advantage insurers collectively avoided $10 billion in medical costs during that time, while the patients who switched to Medicare added an average of $218 a day in costs to the federal government. A United Health spokesman disputed the care denial claims and said the analysis focused on only a fraction of the company's Medicare recipients. Waymo opened its robo-taxi service today to anyone who wants a ride around Los Angeles. This is a milestone in the development of self-driving cars since the company started as a secret Google project 15 years ago. The expansion follows Waymo's launch of rides in Los Angeles 8 years ago. They offered rides to a limited group from a waiting list of over 300,000 people. Anyone with the Waymo app can now request a ride around 80 square mile area in Los Angeles. Waymo first launched its operations in San Francisco before offering a limited service in Los Angeles. They introduced robo-taxis in Phoenix in 2020 before deciding to compete against Uber and Lyft in California. The company has been growing its service in Phoenix since then. Kings Dominion Amusement Park in Virginia will open a new ride next year. The ride is called Rapterra and will be the tallest and longest launched wing coaster in the world. The Rapterra will stand 145 feet tall and stretch over 3,000 feet long. The coaster can reach speeds of 65 miles per hour in just 4 seconds. Riders will experience loops, spins, drops, and a 360-degree roll. The ride is lasting 89 seconds and finishes smoothly back at the station. The Rapterra will open during Kings Dominion's 50th anniversary celebration in 2025. All right, on to Wall Street. Major indexes closed lower today. The three major indexes had rallied to record highs since the election, but investor enthusiasm has dampened a little bit today. Some of the stocks expected to perform well under Trump gave back gains, with shares in electric car maker Tesla falling. On investors' radar also is Wednesday's consumer price inflation data, followed by producer prices inflation and retail sales data later this week, as these could provide clues about the U.S. Federal Reserve's policy path going forward. And with that, all the stories today on Business Matters. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Don. Fiona and I are both pretty excited about that Rapterra roller coaster. What do you think?
Are you guys? It sounds pretty intense. I don't know. Are you sort of the thrill seeker type, you guys?
Oh yeah, I'm a huge fan of roller coasters, and we were talking about this earlier in the show, right? Maybe it's time for a company trip, a little team building.
I don't know, 65 miles per hour in how many? 4 seconds?
4 seconds.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think I can take that. I don't know.
I'm starting to slow down with the roller coasters, but my kids won't give me a reprieve. So I'll see you guys out there.
I used to enjoy roller coasters, but now I'm about the calmer life, so I don't know.
Well, I still very much enjoy roller coasters, so I will be taking you up on that offer, Carrie.
All right, we'll make that happen in the spring.